Hello folks. In this video I'm taking a look at another very inexpensive stick welder. In this case it's the ZX7-200 welder. This one branded Zuba, J-U-B-A. This is a tiny DC inverter stick welder that runs on 240 volt input and it has a max output of around 120 amps. I believe it is essentially the same as another tiny welder I've reviewed some time ago, but with different brand and slightly different case design. This welder is very inexpensive to purchase, but that comes with a couple of caveats. I got this one on Amazon for under $80 with free and fairly fast shipping. It can also be purchased a bit cheaper on sites like Banggood, AliExpress, etc. But for that price, you get the bare power source, no cables, no work clamp, no electrode holder, and it has a European style cord end. A cord end for the style of plug that I have in my garage costs about $10 to $15. So factor in the cost of those extras when considering this welder. Also be aware that many of the ads for this welder claim an output of 10 to 200 amps. This welder maxes out at around 120 to 125 amps, as I confirmed with my ammeter. 120 amps max is also what the data printed on the welder itself actually says. Build quality is nothing impressive. It's cheaply built and one random screw on the bottom sticks down further than the little feet, so it wobbles on the table. I'm sure the electronic component quality is the cheapest stuff they could stick in there, but it did all work like it should out of the box. I even took the cover off the case to check it out, and while the internal build quality isn't amazing, it's certainly not the worst that I've seen in cheap welders like this. I can't say how well it will hold up long term, but nothing inside stood out as horribly put together. It is very small and light, so it is very easy to transport, easy to move around the garage, and it takes up very little storage space. It does require 240 volts, which may make it impractical for some people who don't have a 240 volt receptacle available, but I think being 240 volt input does have a benefit. On the more expensive dual voltage welders I've used, they don't seem to run any different on 120 volts other than having a lower maximum output. But some of the super cheap 120 volt only welders that I've used don't seem to run quite as well as the super cheap 240 volt welders. This welder and the previous tiny stick welder I reviewed both run on 240 volts and they run pretty well. Once I worked out what amperage I was actually getting out of this welder at various settings, I had no trouble running most rods. This welder has enough power to comfortably run 3 32nd rods, and maxed out it'll run 1/8 inch 7018 and 7014. It's not the absolute smoothest arc, but it's not bad. Arc starts are a little bit more difficult than some more expensive welders that have higher open circuit voltage and have hot start features and stuff like that, but it is totally usable. Unfortunately, it will not run 6010 electrodes. Many inverter welders have trouble with 6010, so it's no big surprise, but many people still like to know if a welder is capable of it or not, and there you go, this one is not. However, it does run 6011 just fine. Other than the requirement for 240 volt power and the unproven long-term reliability, I'd say this could be a good, cheap option. Now, if you have 240 volt power available in your garage, you do have a lot of options, including some good used transformer-based welders that'll last just about forever. But there is a case to be made for this welder. It weighs less than 5 pounds, does a decent job, and doesn't cost much more than $100 once you buy all the cables and such that you need. So that's it for now. I'm currently planning to make a couple of cord adapters that will allow me to test the current draw from the wall of all of my 240 and 120 volt welders. Once I have those adapters made up, at some point I'll be testing a bunch of welders, including this one. I can't give an exact time frame at this point, but I'll get to it as soon as I can. In the meantime, if you have any questions, let me know. As always, thanks for watching. Take care.